mental health and traveling. So, I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's been good. I want to get a little bit personal with you and transparent. Something I generally don't tell people, especially the first time they meet me. So if this is your first video, I encourage you to check out some other ones. I do plan to do a series of who I was, who I am, and who I'm aiming to be type deal. So this will kind of tie into that. But basically, I am diagnosed with some mental health issues. About a decade ago, I had some issues. And essentially, at the end of the day, I was experiencing hallucinations and hearing voices that weren't there. If you want to hear more about that story, I can get into it in another video. Just let me know in the comments below. But we'll just basically leave it at it was drug-induced, but it did show some signs of mental illnesses that may have just been exasperated at a younger age than they ever were supposed to. But regardless of the situation, it happened. And for New Year's or Christmas or both, I was in a psych ward, almost like clockwork, for whether it be 8 or 9 days or all the way up to close to a month one time, which was a very scary time there towards the end on the third court date. We can talk about that too in another video if you want to know. But ultimately it led me to the choice where I was quit doing the hard drugs, and I told myself if I didn't go to the psych ward that year for Christmas or New Year's, I'll never do them drugs again. Sure enough, my parents and my peers are right. It was the drugs. That year, Christmas, New Year's came by, and I didn't go to the psych ward. Thankfully, that made it a lot easier for me to just kick that habit, because I was literally treading psychiatric treatment for long-term stay. They talked about that. If I would come back again, they would explore a long-term stay in our facility about an hour north, which is Mount Gretna, Phil Haven. So, with that being said, my life kind of took off in another direction. I was grateful. I started doing some work. I had an eBay business that was taking off pretty well. And then I had a small engine business that's going well. I still currently technically have that. And life became somewhat normal. I did start drinking a couple years into my sobriety from the hard drugs, and that eventually 3 to 5 years later turned into, let's just be transparent, I'm basically an alcoholic, and that was a big issue. I got my first DUI from wrecking my truck. I should have had a second DUI, and also almost cost me my life. Man, it looks like a lot of water was down there recently. But ultimately, about 5 to 6 months later, situationally, there just became a point in my life, a little after midnight, I had ultimately made that choice. If I didn't wake up, if I either didn't want to wake up the next day, which at that time would have been significantly easier, or if I did, something must change. And I can tell you that I gratefully, I woke up that day and I made the change. So I'm now a little over 3 years, a month and some days sober from alcohol. Shocked to say that. It was never the initial intention, but here I am still doing it. So ultimately, the first 3 months after being sober, somehow, some way, for the first time in 7 years, I went back to the psych ward. So now I had no drugs in my system, and here I find myself, for the first time in 7 years, back in a psych ward. And worse yet, I just got sober. I just got over a demon that was holding me crutch. 3 months into it, here I am back in the psych ward. I don't believe it was Christmas or New Year's. This time I think it happened like first week of January, but still it happened, and I was just devastated. I said, oh my gosh, like, this is real, this could happen again. It can happen right now. I mean, we're not right this second, I don't want could, but I mean, we're coming into December and New Year's, and you know, this will be, I think, year 2 or 3 that I haven't had an incident. This is year 3 now, I believe. But 2019, I was in the psych ward for 9 to 14 days in Philadelphia, about 2 hours east of Lancaster County, which is where my home is. And I'll tell you what, it sucked in some ways. I'm glad I understand the experience, but boy, it's never what I want to do. You don't want to go to the psych ward. It's not vacation. I hear people joke about it being vacation. I'm like, motherfuckers, if you only knew. And I shouldn't have said that, but that's a bad word. But yeah, I mean, it's one of the things, like, if you only knew what that really was like, yes, it'd be a vacation for 1 or 2 days or whatever, but when you're stuck there and there are some people that truly are psychotic and their features are showing during their stay, your whole stay, it can be nerve-wracking. I mean, you think Anthrax Madhouse isn't real, you're nuts. I mean, you haven't actually been there. It's true, it happens. So, yes, it's a great place to get yourself back on your feet, and trust me, it has been a lifesaver for me. I needed the psych ward in times in my life, and I might still in the future. I hope to God I don't, but I don't not take it as an option, because there are times where the psych ward is the best place for you if you're mentally unstable or you're not cognitively aware of what's going on around you. By golly, please seek the help that you might need. It can change your life if you let it. It doesn't work if you don't work it. That's an AA saying. So, yeah, traveling with my mental health, I'm diagnosed schizoaffective with Bipolar 1 and A.D.H.D. I truly feel more cognitively aware and like my life is alive than I ever have in my life. With the Bipolar 1, I have experienced a good bit of times where I have been depressed. There are times where I'm on a high, like a really big high, as far as just like, it's natural, but it's almost unnatural. Dang near feels like I'm floating, which is part of psychotic features. It happens. I'm aware that is a precursor to the hallucinations and the hearing things. I will say the last psych ward visit I had, the doctor was pretty well convinced that it was likely due to the high amount of alcohol consumption that I had and the fact that I cold turkeyed it, and that would have been almost exactly how long it would have took for all the alcohol to get out of my system. And my particular brain chemistry, for whatever reason, if it gets pretty far, north or south, when it goes back to neutralize in the middle, my brain, for whatever reason, doesn't like to stop there. Instead of going from north to south to neutral and staying steady, it just keeps on going. And that's generally the best way I can describe where the flippening of my mental state can happen. But right now, this last month of traveling, I have felt the most normally minded, just the most aware of my conscious reality, with the least amount of lows and least amount of highs that I've ever experienced. So yes, I'm medicated. They're nothing strong. It's not any crazy drugs. It's Lamictal and Vistaril, which is a mood stabilizer, and an anxiety pill. None of which they do not make you feel good per se or bad. They're just a neutral feeling medicine, or at least from my experience. I've done a lot of other, I've taken a lot of other drugs that the doctors prescribe me that I, felt weird or felt one way or another. Sometimes got extremely angry, vicious, or zombified. And I was never a fan of trying new medicine or taking my medicine because of the ways that most of them made me feel. That happened for 5 or 6 or 7 years. Part of the biggest issue I had there was initially I wasn't being honest about my drug use. That made it really hard for the doctors to pinpoint what direction to take me because I had drug problems that was acting up with the medicines. It's a duh, but hey, it's part of being an addict. It's part of not wanting to let go of what holds your demons, with you. But I did it. I made it through, and that's a great thing. So thankfully, the medication that I'm on now, I don't feel like it pulls me any which way or another. But as far as mental stability, I think I feel the most normal and most mentally healthy and stable that I have ever felt at this very moment. I don't feel overly energetic. I don't feel overly anxious. I don't feel underly or overly depressed or any which way. I feel like I'm at a normal state of mind and happy and just grateful to be taking this opportunity on. It's going to be cold tonight, but I'm aware of that. I have that expectation. If for whatever reason it's a little warmer, cool. If I get a motel, great. Whatever. But at this very moment, like, life is real. It's as real as it can be. There's no other way to take this experience in a better aspect or better outlook. I am super excited about the next part. I'm actually heading to Cove Mountain. It's one of the places I can pan for some gold. I love gold panning. I love Gold Rush. Oh, hell yeah. Today's Friday night. It's my favorite show. It's the only show that I watch religiously. So, assuming there's a Christmas Black Friday episode, you can believe if I have service tonight, that's what I'll be doing. But yeah, I'm going to go gold panning and just enjoy it. So, yeah. If you like this video and you like the journey, please like, share, subscribe. I just wanted to clue you guys in. I do think, pretty sure I plan on full-time van lifing it after I get back and sell my house and do everything that's going to take to get through that portion of my life and move on to the next chapter. So if you're interested, you would like to check that out, I would highly appreciate your support and your encouragement. And yeah, until the next one, I thank you all for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, and I appreciate you listening to this point. And if you have any mental health concerns or questions for me or want to know any more of them experiences, I'll be glad to share. It is what it is. I'm human. I'm alive. My name's Justin Donnell. Learn it. Peace.